How's it going, everybody? I am Donut. This is, of course, a Black Lives Matter, all cops are bastards, and trans rights supporting channel. If you're not supporting that shit, get the fuck off this channel. This is The Defenders, Season 1, Episode 8. The Defenders. The finale. I might have wanted a little bit of a better title than just The Defenders for the last episode's title, but we'll take it. We've had that in some of the other series as well, so we'll take what we can get. There's no predictions I can give just based off that title, and I gave my predictions for what I think this episode is going to be in the last discussion, so let's not waste any time, and let's just get right into this. If you want to get the full length, check it out on the Patreon below for $4 a month. If you want to get early access into the first 3 episodes of Punisher, you can do that on the in the Patreon as well. Go check that out. So, go do that. Alright, we are here for the discussion of Defenders, Episode 8, The Defenders. I am here with my fiancé.
Thermites.
This is the finale. Let's talk about the finale. We're also going to talk a little bit about the overall show going forward, and we might talk about, where these characters have been from the start to where they are now. We're not going to try to make this too fucking long, like our 8-hour endgame discussion. But,
oh boy.
But, let's talk about a lot of this stuff. First off, I don't want to start this off being a down or anything like that, but man, now that we have gotten through, all the way through one of the shows for every one of them except for Punisher and now into the Defenders, I don't know how much more of this I can take of the Netflix shows, never giving any concrete answers on anything.
Yeah.
Everything is just assume for yourself. What do you think it was? What do you think happened? And it's nice a lot of times, but there's a point of no return where you just can't keep doing it over and over and over again.
Yeah, it's fun to speculate. It's fun to go okay, what, is this going to get a definite answer? This is what I think, but is that going to change? But eventually you need to get some hard facts. Otherwise, you just have this big foundation of maybe.
And with other stuff I'm more lenient, but the fact that this is, we still don't really know a whole lot about the Hand or any concrete things behind how they did the things that they did. And again, I constantly go that, well, maybe we'll get it in this season. Maybe we'll get it in this season. Maybe we'll get an Iron Fist season 2. But I just, I don't know how much more I can wait for these answers.
Yeah, and I feel a lot of a lot of answers are going to be buried with the Hand here, with the fingers. This is such a clear, I'm sure there'll still be, some Hand out there, some remnants. I don't think they're 100% gone.
One in particular.
But, yeah. The fact that so many of them have died off here makes me think that they're also going to be well, people don't really want these answers. These characters are dead now. Yeah. Who's ever been interested in a dead character?
But yeah, this, we do get some, answers, but again, none of them are concrete answers. They're answers that we all have to assume for ourselves. So we're going to be doing a hell of a lot of assuming, a hell of a lot of guessing, and a hell of a lot of theorizing, even though I hesitate to say theorizing because I'm not sure if we're ever going to get a concrete answer one way or another.
Yeah.
I guess it's still theorizing then, but still. Theorizing, you assume you're going to come to an answer at some point.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's talk about this episode first. Also, since we were just talking about the Hand and the Hand moving forward, in the very end of the episode, for sure, Gal's not dead. No way, right?
Yeah, there's no way.
If anything, Gal had to be the person who got Matt out.
I could definitely see that.
I don't know why, but she has been amicable with him before. She knows how to work things. She knows when to get out when the getting out's good, and I don't think she's going to try and be the Hand by herself, so this might be her doing a big, alright, I'm just going to do a full 180 now, and something else I'm going to do now. So, curious what's going to go on there, or if she's even involved with it at all. Maybe she is dead, but I don't buy it. Don't buy it.
No, because, everything came down. They're so far below Manhattan. either no one survived that or Gao definitely survived that. Like, I was willing to say that maybe Matt died before Gao.
Same, yeah. I was gonna end this going like, well, okay, I'm gonna, for the time being, believe that Matt is dead. I don't believe that Gal is dead. But no, now I have to believe that they're both alive.
Yeah.
And I do like that we're leaving this on a, for all intents and purposes, the world, the people closest to him, thinks that Matt Murdock is dead. But, we as an audience know, of course not. We need to, we got a season 3 coming out, guys. We know, you guys know.
Which, that is also, like, not to get too far into this, but, Matt being basically dead, presumed to be dead here, and, in the first, episode of Daredevil Season 3, like, that they're gonna have to follow up from that. That is such a hard, like, yes, the Defenders is 100% necessary. Like, there is no way to go from Season 2 ending of Daredevil to Season 3, and you can't just skip over that. It would be insane.
I mean, you could just assume that he got into a fight, and then he's gonna wake up and go, oh, I don't remember what happened in this past week.
Oh, no!
I got the big amnesia. Oh, no. But no, yeah, I do appreciate how, like, each of these seasons is going to have to be, like, I doubt they're going to, start up the next season of each of these shows being like, so by the way, that shit happened, and now because of that, I'm doing this. Like, it's going to be kind of an understated thing, I assume. Just as always. I mean, even half the time when you start a new season of just a show, like just going from season 1 to season 2, and they just, sort of half reference the stuff from season 1, but kind of want to move forward with a different plot going into another season. And so, like, again, that's what I assume we're going to get here, where we touch on a lot of this stuff, but it's not going to be, like, a big focus. But it's still... very clear, like, if you go from, like, Iron Fist season 1 to Iron Fist season 2, you're gonna be like, damn, what the fuck happened to Danny? Like, his personality completely got worked out, fine. Like, so much of them are, like, between Jessica Jones season 1 and Jessica Jones season 2, they could, I feel, play that a little bit better, of, like, Jessica's not wanting to mention a lot of stuff that hadn't happened and everything.
Yeah, she might just say, some fucked up stuff happened, I don't want to talk about it.
Yeah, so, like, it's, each season I think is going to be more dependent on, like, what they're going to say and what they aren't going to say. Like, Luke Cage, I feel like, is going to be, there are very few people that just watch Luke Cage outright, I assume is what Disney's, mentality is, or I guess it wouldn't be Disney, I don't know.
Yeah, it would have been Netflix. Disney wasn't really a part of this.
But either way, like, so Luke Cage might be way more influenced by this versus, like, Jessica Jones, not so much. Daredevil, maybe very heavily, maybe not so much at all. It depends. Because, like, Daredevil could be we think a lot of people watch Defenders or are going to watch Defenders going into it because Matt's in it. But, who knows?
Yeah.
And Iron Fist has to be very relevant to this.
Yeah, like, Daredevil and Iron Fist have the most, like, obvious fallout from this. But, yeah, I'd say Iron Fist is even more so, just because of all the Kunlun stuff, and, like, the hands.
Yeah. And yeah, like, I really, really thought that we were going to, I thought we were building up the Luke and Danny thing in this season, and I didn't know if it was going to go anywhere, but I really thought we were building them up as, like, they were going to be possibly a team, or at the very least just friends that might, like, hang out sometime, but don't get that impression by the end of this. Do you?
Yeah. No, I don't. Like, we didn't get, like, Luke and Danny stuff, which I was really hoping for. And we got a little more, like, Luke and Jessica, which I've, like, for the longest time I was like, oh, I want them to get back together, but, like, Defenders made me go, like, no, I don't really want that. I think, I think they're fine, on their own separate ways. But they kind of just did a tease there. I guess, I don't know why. I don't think they're going to do it.
I don't think that was a tease. I do think that was supposed to be they're able to be friends now. Like, because a lot of this was them being awkward around each other. And I think this was, Luke, like, specifically that we go from the scene of Luke and Claire, they're living together, he's very worried about her. He's putting her first when it's coming to all this stuff. And then after everything settles down, then he goes to Jessica. Like, it is establishing, I have a good relationship now. I'm not coming in here as a, like, we should get back together, but just simply as a, we should be friends again, and even as exes, they could be amicable. And I think that was, very, very mature of them both. It was specifically more on Luke's end because Jessica, she didn't react to it the best of ways, but she's got a lot to get through.
Yeah, I see that. That makes sense to me.
So yeah, I don't think we're setting up anything there. If anything, I don't think Jessica's gonna have a romance at all, which is totally fine,
Yeah.
But also, I mean, it could help her get a little bit more comfortable as well. It really depends on, like, it's not something she needs, but it's also, something that could help stabilize her, more. Give her that comfort that she's looking for.
Yeah, like, I think she definitely needs more people in her life.
For sure,
yeah, and I think that, the scene with, her walking into the office and Malcolm patching up the bullet holes is a clear, like, she's not dead-walling him the way she was at the, end of Jessica Jones Season 1.
Mm-hmm.
Like, at the very least, she's more open to having him in her life as a friend.
Yeah, and I hope that she does, go out and hang out with Luke more often, and, like, Matt is dead in her world, and Danny is, there's no way in hell she's going to go hanging with Danny, so...
Yeah.
I hope that she hangs out with Luke and, Malcolm, and that's really all she's got right now, so...
Yeah, she's got Trish.
She's got Trish, right. Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's a given, but, like, Trish has been, she's never been on the, like, outs with Trish.
Yeah, you're right.
But that is a good point. Like, Trish is, like, someone she's very, very close to that she can dump a lot on, but even still, she doesn't tell her everything.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is, it's fascinating because, like, I really thought this should be the season where they're all getting closer together and then they can learn to, we can call on each other if we need to again. But instead, this is the season of, we're all coming together for this one thing and then we're all in agreement that we never want to work together again and I don't want to see you guys ever again.
Yeah.
It's very, very, very strange. Like, even that, but, like, before this, like, final bit, if, like, I mean, I guess it would have been weird to do it in the middle of it, but, like, to have Matt been like, if you need a lawyer, call me up. But, I mean, to be fair, his whole thing is just like, I'm just gonna barge my way in there and just try and be your lawyer anyway.
Yeah. But yeah. Like, I think there's more possibility for them to cross over now and, like, hang out with each other. But I'm not, like, the season really didn't give me the vibe of they want to do that. It felt more like the characters were like, we now know about each other, and that's it.
Yeah, like, the only people I could see, like, Luke and Jessica hanging out, definitely a possibility, but that's really on Jessica, like, if she's going to, call back, if she's going to want to hang out. But aside from that, Danny and Matt were, like, the closest to, I feel like. Like, they got in some scuffles, they got in pretty bad, but they also were, the ones who were the most, like, having a good time around each other. Yeah. So I could definitely see them both hanging out separately, like, or hanging out, like, together after this all. If it wasn't for how it went down.
Yeah.
And the fact that he said that to, to Danny and not, like, any, like, it seems like Matt trusts Danny by far the most out of all of them.
Mm-hmm.
And I think maybe, like, it's interesting because, again, none of them, like, they all are no masks, this is my name, full identity out there. So it's not like that there's any reason for him to trust him more in that regard. Like, it is just solely him trusting him more as a person.
Yeah.
And yeah, the fact that, they all got off scot-free from this is also absolutely amazing. I can't believe that, because the police knows next to nothing about what went down here.
Yeah.
And so, like, I don't know why they would possibly call off the charges, because they don't know anything.
Yeah, all they know is that, I mean, as they said at the start of the episode, the four of them, caused a, they planned a terrorist attack on American soil, and they carried it out, and they destroyed a building.
And
they know.
They were told that there was a shadow organization in the building that was terrorizing the world for thousands of years. But, like, do they believe that? Because, like, they have no proof for anything. So do they just, like, take their word for all this? Like, I'm glad they got off scot-free. It's just so unbelievable.
Yeah, it's the real, like, the Netflix series underplay a lot of stuff. They try to be very like, realistic, quote unquote, and gritty with it. And so, like, this is very much a comic book ending.
Absolutely.
Like, it is some aliens were attacking and we got rid of them, but you didn't see that, but you gotta trust me on this one. And everyone goes, yeah, that happens.
Of course, I trust you fully. There was a shadow organization that was ruling us for thousands of years. They were in that one building. You took down the building, and now there's no more of this 1,000-year-old organization. I buy this completely.
I cannot believe that collapsing the building into the hole also filled out the space and stopped, Manhattan from being destroyed.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know what the fuck was going on with that. Of like, if you remove the substance, then Manhattan will crumble. And I don't know what that looks like. I don't know what the substance is still. I don't know anything still. There's a lot I can assume. The substance is dragon blood. Dragon blood holds up New York because why not? Why not? New York stays afloat because of dragon blood.
Remember the literal train full of dirt, like just packed end to end with dirt that had to be hauled away over and over again because they were digging this enormous hole?
Mm-hmm.
You know how that got filled in by one building?
Yeah. It's a lot of rubble. I don't know what to tell you. It perfectly packs.
What in the world?
It's such a comic book ending. My God. But yet they don't want to treat it like I would have rather them go heavier on the comic bookness of it. Like, the Netflix MCU is this middle ground that it's like, I love it, and I also roll my eyes at it so much. It's so perfect. It's the best MCU stuff we're getting, and it still has its problems. It still doesn't go all in on what it should be going all in on.
Yeah. I think that's the best way to put it.
Like, yeah, they're too gun shy with all of their effects, any effects whatsoever. I mean, I'm surprised we got a shot of the building blowing up, because fully would have expected them to just like show a shot of the police reacting to that, but not show it. Because like that, the MCU Netflix thing is absolutely the don't show and don't tell. Like just fully don't acknowledge.
That's a good way of putting it.
But yeah, so I'm hoping that they'll get better with that, but I highly, highly doubt it.
Fingers crossed. I mean, that was also my fingers crossed thing for, like, after phase 3 of the MCU movies. Like, I'm hoping that once you hit a point and you gotta do something, very big and bombastic, that opens up the possibility to just do more big and bombastic things.
Yeah, like, nothing wants to be as cartoonish as Guardians or Ant-Man has been, despite the fact that both of them have done incredibly well.
Yeah, like there's no problem with that. People are fine with it, so as long as you give them what they're expecting in that scenario. As long as you're like, yeah, this is going to be a little wacky, as opposed to this is going to be extremely self-serious and very as minimally superheroic as possible.
Yeah, and like I'm fine with at this point I get they're not going to do the costumes because seemingly nobody likes the costumes other than me. I don't get it. I like the comic book costumes.
I like the costumes. I really want to see Danny in his comic book costume.
Yeah,
like an adaptation of it.
Like I do, and like it's just it makes more sense because you can also have it be padded and stuff like that too. Like it is a slight benefit. I mean, the reason why Matt wears a costume makes sense. Why the rest of them don't. Like I get like why Luke wouldn't, why Jessica wouldn't, but like Danny, I'm surprised he doesn't wear more actual like martial arts get up. Like, it would we set up the shoes in the first season, but then he never like did anything with that. And the fact that he just like fights in tennis shoes is so weird.
It really is.
Like, I get what they want to do. Like, it does look interesting seeing him fight in like the suits and everything. It's a fun look, but when they went to go do something like this, it would have been cool to see him in a like not in a suit. But anyway, like I know people didn't like the Diamondback suit, but I loved the Diamondback suit. It's still like my favorite like visual antagonist sort of thing because it's so perfect. Or like even like Fisk having the giant white suit is good as well. Kilgrave having the purple suit. That's a middle ground I'm willing to have, where they have a very specific thing that's different from like Luke Cage's hoodie is really nice, but it's not like a. It's the inside of the hoodie that's bright and colorful.
Yeah, it's not like they managed to make it iconic, but it's very subtly iconic. It's not, blasting you in the face.
But yeah, like a lot of their the costumes, I like the bright and colorful costumes. I like it a lot for the villains too, because I think it makes sense. Because the villains want to be seen, they want to be, like bombastic and stuff, which is why it fits so well with Diamondback. But yeah, I understand that there's very few people that agree with that. There's a lot of people who are just like, no, I don't like the hokey costumes or whatever. And it's like, whatever, fine. Don't do the hokey costumes, but do, more actual, like, not taking yourself so seriously that you refuse to show anything or you refuse to say anything. Without saying, even if you say stuff, you have to have a character that goes, oh, this is ridiculous.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's my one like complaint with the Netflix MCU stuff. But overall, it's still the best MCU stuff we're getting, hands down.
Yeah, it's so good. It's just, it could be even better. It makes me want it to be even better.
So, let's keep talking about this hole and everything. Like,
okay.
Do you have any other idea of like what the substance is besides Dragon Blood? Because it did seem like we saw them taking out something that was the substance, but it was just like stone. Or like bone or whatever. Like maybe the substance is just melted bones.
I think it might just be the bone, specifically because of the statement of, when we remove the substance, it'll destroy New York. Like, that is a clear, like, the substance is not a thing you are making with this stuff. Like, the substance is the thing that is here. And that also gives me a very clear, like, that, like, it makes it even more viable to me that Gowans, Matt could survive this, because they do die, like, they all come down in a room with, the dragon bones in it. Like, if it's a situation where, it might not be ideal, but Gao can just kind of go crack, grind it up, snort it.
Like, yeah, the substance is so black and viscous that it's wild that it would be bones.
Yeah.
Unless, like, the bone marrow is, like, the black liquid.
Maybe.
But again, it seems like they were cutting out just, like, the bones. Like, just squares of bones.
Yeah, I mean, maybe you have to, like, burn the bones. Like, maybe it's, like, blackened tar from, like, scorching the bones and, like, mixing it with liquid.
Yeah, because, like, okay, I'm rewatching the scene right now. It's like they're taking a tusk off the wall, and then it's not, like, squares, but they have these, like, circles of, like, it's a stone that has a, like, concave, like, impact thing in it. I'm not sure if impact is the right word, and that's the only time we see that. So it's like, what is that?
Yeah.
That's definitely not bone, but they had to remove the bone to get to it. Like, it looks almost like fossils with the bones not in the fossils. And it's not like, again, it's not like they just perfectly carved these out or anything, because they're a little bit misshapen. So, like, what the fuck? What is this? Is it poop?
Yeah, because, like, what we see, like, it seems like any flesh or anything has, like, decayed. Like, the skeleton is just a big old skeleton. Like, if it was supposed to be, like, desiccated flesh or something, I feel like we would see it, some of that on the bones or something.
Yeah. I don't know. And, like, it could be that because we were under the bones, it kept us alive, because, like, the bones can survive anything. Yeah.
Because, like, Gao, like, when it seems like everything's gonna go down, like, she's not running towards the, like, she's not running to a place, she's not, like, ducking and covering or anything. Like, the last thing we see of her is just, like, the countdown juxtaposed with her, like, looking up.
Yeah, and it could be her going, well, this is the end, like, as she says, or she could have meant that as, this is the end for you, Murakami, and the hand, but not for me. And then, like, she then, walks away for a second and goes to where Matt is.
Yeah.
Because Matt and Elektra were under bones, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
They were fighting under those bones.
Yeah. Do you think that Elektra survived? Like, if
I don't
Matt
think
and
so.
Gao survived?
I don't think so. I think also because, again, it seems like the lot of them were, like, on their last wisps of, like, Alexandra was dying, but then it's like Bakuto and Murakami and Sawande didn't seem to have a whole lot of chi. Like, they just didn't seem to have that at all. Meanwhile,
Yeah.
Gao has tons and tons and tons of chi and feels very lively and was the best fighter and, like, for being the one who looks the oldest, seems like the one who is, you know, the most well off. And again, a lot of them seem to be using their chi to keep themselves looking very young, while Gao is like, I don't care, I'll look like a 109-year-old woman, I don't give a fuck. And so, like, that allows her to be, you know, holding on to more of that substance that was left. So, you know, I think that's the thing they were going for. Whereas, like, Elektra was already, you know, very young, so you don't have to think about that aspect of it. But I think, again, she was using up all of that in her fights constantly, that she doesn't have much left. Anyway, that's my justification for why she's not going to live. It's, again, you have to do so much justification, so much, like, theorizing and just assuming in these Netflix shows.
Yeah, I think narratively, it doesn't make sense for Elektra to survive. Like, this is the best possible end they could have for her, you know, now that she has been revived.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if she was then in Daredevil Season 3, it'd be a big, like, what are we doing here?
Yeah. And, man, Claire as well has been taking on multiple hand members. Like, none of the fingers, but in Daredevil, she got one of them. Now, in this, she's got them. In Luke Cage, she got some of Cottonmouth's guys. Like, she always takes down some mooks, which is really cool to see. Actually, in Iron Fist as well, she took down some of the ninjas, too.
Yeah, Iron Fist is where she, like, actually learned martial arts. Before that point, she didn't even know how to do martial arts.
Yeah. I mean, like, she learned martial arts very, very briefly. She learned, like, kickboxing, it seemed like, very, very briefly, and then had to go pick up, like, ancient Chinese weapons to go fight ninjas while they were in fucking Anzhou. Or Anzhou. But
oh boy,
she holds her own, like, for sure, and she's always like trying. Like, it was a dumb decision to go think that she could take on Bakugo, or not Bakugo, Bakudo. But yeah, it was a dumb decision to think that she could do anything there with how much everybody else has been struggling. But it still was like, you know, if she doesn't, then Colleen's gonna die, so she had to step in and try and do something. As well as, like, you know, Misty, like, you know, what does she think she's gonna do? But she had to step in to prevent somebody from dying. This episode really, like, these past 2 episodes have helped me really be like, okay, I don't hate Misty as much as I have for the past season and a half. More like 2 whole seasons.
Also, while we're talking about Misty, I mean, yeah, I should probably just say it now.
Yeah.
Do you remember in Luke Cage Season 1 where, like, she came out of, it's not called the Cotton Club anymore, but, you know, like, the club that Cottonmouth owned. And they did the whole, like, oh, her arm's been tied off, is she gonna lose it?
Oh, yeah!
Yeah.
Oh, wow. So, yeah, this is just a part of her comic character they've been building for a while, I'm guessing.
Yeah. Like, the Luke Cage one was a real big, like, in that episode, in the discussion, actually, I asked you, like, do you think she's gonna lose the arm? And you said no, and I was like, and secretly, I was like, oh, obviously, she's gonna lose the arm. And then she didn't lose the arm, and I was like, wait, what?
I was so much expecting at the end of the episode where Colleen was like, listen, Danny has connections. I swear to God, I thought she was going to be like, he can get you a robot arm. It's going to be fine.
The true Iron Fist.
Going back on, like, stuff from past seasons, I remember what I thought my idea for what Iron Fist was a really buff dude who fought with knuckle dusters. I think at one point I did
really like that idea.
At one point I did think also of a like guy with just a metal arm or something like that, and I kept being like, I don't know how it's gonna be different from just Iron Man, just the worst Iron Man. But anyway, yeah, I think that was the one I had more of a theory for. But just remembering the buff dude with knuckle dusters, which is also just a character from My Hero Academia Vigilantes.
Yeah.
But that was all I could think of.
I think at one point you said, like, the person with the iron arm was going to just have, like, one of Iron Man's arms, or, like, one of the mass production arms or something.
Yeah, I can't see how that would have been a comic character, but, I mean, they've done weirder.
Yeah.
It's just a less version of Combo Man. But yeah, like seeing like all three of the girls fight Bakuto was really really cool to see, especially because like again, Colleen like being the one to mainly take him out herself. Also the fact that both like we have never seen a member of the Hand just get shot or injured in that way and then just completely shrug it off, which was pretty badass.
Yeah.
Like, Bakuto's been quite a bitch, and that was a big, like, okay, damn, props! That was pretty fucking scary. To get shot in the chest multiple times and be like, I don't care. Like, he's like, I know the substance is down there, but also that's like I'm going to maybe die here, but I'm going to assume that my friends are going to put me back together and, like, heal me and give me life again.
Yeah.
Which, like, Murakami could have that happen to him, you know? Whether Gal's gonna do that or not, I don't think so at all, but it'd be a possibility, and she would have to be like, no, I'm not gonna do that. Unless, like, his body was too crushed or whatever. But he was just stabbed. Like, he just fell in a pipe.
Yeah, like, he might just come back via, the amount of substance still in his body.
Maybe, but it seemed that they were all like, if you die, then this is the last time. Which I don't really get, but sure. But yeah, Murakami, bit disappointed we got not a lot with him, like in terms of a fight.
Yeah. I was really hoping he would specifically fight Luke, like, one-on-one, because I wanted to get that vibe of, I'm a guy who goes up against bears and I beat their asses and they tear into me. Like, I thought it would be... Yeah, like, Luke is the one who, he feels invincible, so having him be taken down by this guy who wrestles bears would have been super dope.
Yeah, like, I wanted to see him get torn apart. Like, yeah, I'm very disappointed in how it went. Also just because he got taken out, as I was saying, oh, well, like, Murakami's climbing the elevator, this looks like this is going to be a bit of a challenge, and then he was immediately killed. Like, as I was saying, this guy's gonna be hard, they fucking throw him out.
Not cool.
But yeah, he is like the lowest member. Like, I find his personality one of the most interesting, but in terms of like fighting skill, he's the lowest on the chain.
Yeah. He does not sell, the way he was built up.
And, like, yeah, like, the coolest thing we got from this entire season was when they were all like, okay, we're gonna go to the restaurant and start fighting them, and he just climbs up to the top of the building and jumps inside and starts fighting them all by himself. And, like, just them all fighting him alone they were struggling with. And so, then we go to this where it's just like, they just, completely make an ass out of him. And it's just like, never a fan of that. I wanted a little more of a substantial fight with him.
Fully agree, yeah.
But yeah, I do think the Bakuto fight was the best one we got, for sure. Like,
yeah, I really... Yeah.
Good.
I'm really, really happy that Colleen, won, but it wasn't a perfect 1v1. Because it is clear, like, she is slightly below Bakuto. And that does mean a lot, because he's very, very skilled. Like... I would have been happy if she did it by herself, but I'm actually much happier that, she had help, because that shows that she still has a lot of room to grow. And
to be fair, also, on her end, she was cut across the stomach, and then she was also, in the same fight, cut across the back. So, the area of your body that is moving the most has two massive injuries on it. And she still held her own that well. Like, that is incredible. Versus, like, seriously, every other time, it's had to be multiple superpowered people that are taking on these fingers. Like, Colleen is absolute queen. I fucking love her. She is a powerhouse.
Yeah.
Without her, they would be fucked. And I mean, again, without Claire, they would be fucked as well.
Yeah.
Like, Misty's still got a ways to go in terms of like being someone that is needed as opposed to like someone who has helped. But yeah, she's got a ways to go.
I also like. It's not the most distinct, but I hope that through the season, Claire has been going through the arc of like, oh, I'm just a person, I'm just here, and she's been told repeatedly, like, no, you are also a hero. You have saved people with these people. You're the one who runs into the fire. Like, you're not just around. You're not just near special people, the way Gao once told her she was. Like, she is special in her own right, even if she doesn't have powers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I really hope she, like, she takes that to heart, and she has, more confidence, like, going forward as a character, as the, like, yeah, I am important. I am, I am the kingpin of the Defenders.
Yeah, you can't just, she can't keep saying, like, no, we can't do this, no, we can't do this, when she's, like the one, I don't know how to put it, like, she needs to come to terms with what they're doing. Same with Luke. My God, Luke needs to come to terms with being a superhero still. How does he still struggling with this? We have had 3 seasons now with him struggling to be a superhero. Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, now Defenders.
Yeah. Like, part of the spirit of especially being, like, a low-level Marvel hero is the conflict of, like, I don't know, like, logically part of me is saying I shouldn't be doing this, but my body is moving on its own. Like, I'm gonna do this no matter what, and then having to deal with that.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, there's a level of dealing with that makes sense, but you hit a point eventually where it's like, well, you either gotta accept it or you've gotta give up.
Yeah.
And, like, I think Claire is actually, closer to accepting it than Luke is.
Far more, yeah. She goes along with it when it's necessary, even as much as she complains, which is better than Luke not wanting to ever go along with it until the very, very end.
Yeah, like, Luke will outright just go like, no, not doing it, not my territory, this is bad, we're gonna break the law, we're gonna kill a guy. Mm-hmm. Whereas Claire will go for it and then afterwards go like, oh boy, that was really weird, I'm conflicted about this.
Yeah. And, like, it makes it even weirder that Luke, like, as much as I think Luke is crazy for being like, oh, Stick, you gotta turn yourself in for killing Sawande. Like, as insane as that is, Luke is the kind of person who'd be like, I don't care if this man has been, like, the worst African warlord for 1,000 years and is planning to destroy all of New York City and has murdered hundreds of people, if not thousands of people, and is a torturer, is, just an endless list of terrible, terrible shit, and he's still like, but that's still a bad thing that you did to kill him. And then to go full 180, like, a day later on, yeah, I'll kill, like, 50 people. It's insane. It's so much it's so much more unbelievable. Where it's like,
yeah,
just because, like, if he had that hard of a line where it's like, I don't care if it's Hitler, I'm not gonna kill them, and then to go like, fine, I'll kill 50 people is insane. But
yeah.
I mean, they had to do it because they wrote themselves in a fucking corner. But just why did you write Luke Cage like that at all in the first place?
Yeah, like, I'm feeling a lot better about Colleen and Danny, because at the end of Iron Fist Season 1, I was very upset with their ethos of, we can't kill people, but I am really glad that, a third person out of nowhere killed Bakuto. Yeah. Because, of course, if we did that, that would be the worst thing ever, and of course we wouldn't do that. But if someone else, like if Davos kills him, that's fine. In fact, it's the right thing to do. But it's also bad. Like, I'm glad that in the Defenders, they have, like, cleared that up internally, and they are full on, like, if it's the Hand, there's no bad part of killing these people.
Yeah.
Like, they are evil. With other, in the future, if they're fighting non-Hand people, I definitely think that'll come back up as well, now we have a problem. But I'm really glad that they at least, grew a bit more than like Luke has.
Yeah, I mean, we haven't even talked about that at all. Matt killed somebody. He killed he killed like 50 people. Like, I thought they were going to be going down there to face the hand, but the fingers, but then there was just a whole army down there as well, which, it seems like that was the rest of their forces they've had. They haven't had the ninjas, like karate, or not karate, the katana ninjas, for like a long time. So it seems like they are, as much as they keep saying they are a worldwide force, it doesn't seem like that's the case anymore. Seems like there are like 5 dudes and then a handful of, an army.
Yeah.
A handful of an army is also not an army. I don't know why I'm saying that's an army.
In one of the previous discussions, we speculated that the reason why they can't use the katana guys from, Daredevil Season 2 is because, like, you need the substance or to have those guys be around, like, because they were all, like, corpses that had been brought back.
Were they?
And
the katana one specifically? I don't think so, because they were like, some of them were child soldiers.
I guess you're right. I was thinking about, the one that got, like, an autopsy in Daredevil Season 2. But no, you're right. There was that one kid.
Okay, so we were talking about the child soldiers and the ninjas, and again, I think that there was all just blood farming. We got interrupted, so trying to jump back into this.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think to wrap that up, I think the child soldier, or not the child soldiers, but the bodies that they brought back from the dead was blood farming. But we will go back to check that at some point after this.
Yeah. Not that important right now.
Mm-hmm. Moving on, still just talking about the hand being evil and everything. I loved the whole talk that Gal and Danny were having about how just just straight up cartoonishly evil the hand is, and like Danny being like, I can't believe you would desecrate the sacred dragons like this, and Gal being like, you punched him in his heart. Like, yeah, it doesn't have a whole lot of point there, but like, still, is that something that Xiao Lao wanted, or just
we don't know if it's consensual or not?
Yeah, we don't know if he consensually punched him in the heart, or if this is a thing of just like, we respect the dragons, but also if you want your superpowers, you have to go punch that dragon in the heart, and not like where his heart is. You had to punch him in his physical heart, inside of it.
Well, to be fair, Xiao Lao is usually fine after that, whereas, like, they are just desecrating a corpse here.
Yeah, but I mean, what's worse, desecrating a corpse or punching an alive person through their chest and into their heart? Like, I'm not on their side here, but it is interesting. Like, I didn't think about, like, oh yeah, I guess it's not consensual. He probably really hates that. He's just immortal. Like, you'll be fine. You're immortal. Let us keep punching you in the heart. Now, to get the 2 Iron Fists, does he have to do it with the other hand?
That might be it. He's got to go back and say, I'm punching you with the other hands.
But yeah, it's also now, it's a lot more believable why, like, specifically why the divide of the people of Kunlun don't want to live forever. Like, like, where they were like, no, we should die and let the natural process, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, why? But if it's, well, we would have to kill a dragon every time otherwise, then yeah, I get it.
Yeah, because it's also not really sustainable. Like,
yeah. It's fossil fuels.
It's fossil fuels!
It's literally fossil fuels!
It's just old people using the fossil fuels! They're willing to mine under New York and destroy it all for fossil fuels!
You know what? I didn't get the symbolism there until just now, but that is absolutely what they're doing.
Same!
Can't believe it took me that long to get that, but yeah.
We got there.
We got there. But yeah, the fight underground it could definitely have been directed better, it could definitely have been choreographed better, but at the very least, I'm glad we got in some of that, like, real old-time rap music in there. I guess more hip-hop music in there with the Wu-Tang again. Like, perfect. Like, because it works very well for, I mean, it should be the Luke thing, because it's Wu-Tang, but it works way more for Danny. because like it is in that era where it like when the Wu-Tang sounded just like Outkast, when like I'm not good with my decades, so I don't want to just throw out a decade and be completely wrong, but you know what I mean, where just the old-timey, very like golden age hip-hop.
Ah, yeah.
To put it in comic book terms.
The Marvel age of hip-hop. I mean, Wu-Tang loves Marvel.
I mean, yeah.
They're down with it.
I mean, they reference Spider-Man in the song.
Yeah.
It's they know what they're doing. They know what they're doing. But yeah, it was fantastic to have that in there as like a, again, the directing could have been better. The fight wasn't that great, but just the song elevated the moment.
Yeah, and I really liked the moment of, Gao trying to do her chi push and Danny punching the push and it, like, blasting everyone else away.
Oh, yeah. I've been waiting for that chi blast together, like, since we've like, seen these two characters. Like, it's just been a constant, like, whose chi is better? Obviously Danny's, but you want to see that.
Yeah, I mean, it's not even obvious. It's a real, like... in Daredevil in Iron Fist Season 1, I feel like Gao might have been able to do it. Like, Danny's grown a fair bit.
Possibly, but, like, the Iron Fist, like, it's very different in how we see it a lot of times. Like, sometimes it's insanely, unbelievably powerful, and other times it pushes people back.
Yeah.
So, it's hard to say, like, what would have happened before. It's very fluctuating.
Yeah, whereas this is definitely like, they're both taking it seriously. She's trying to do the big push against the defenders. He's trying to do the big punch. Like, yeah, this is the clear, if they're both actually trying, then Danny does win.
Yeah. As well, like, Matt and Danny were, like, fighting together quite a bit there, and like had some lines together. Like, again, I really like Matt and Danny together so well. I ship it.
Yeah.
Ship it much more than Luke and Danny. Them together is so nice.
Yeah.
Like they have this very similar yet completely different fighting style. Like they work together, like just like rolling off each other's back and sharing moves.
Yeah, they've got this, like, spiritual brotherhood and, like, their fight against the hands.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, I think that's it, too. Yeah, like, they have the most reason to be fighting here. Now, as Matt's whole thing with Elektra there at the end, like, you could see it coming from a mile away, but yeah, it still hurts. Like, it's just this absolute tragic relationship that they have, in which, like, where we are now, like, if it wasn't for the Elektra needing the substance, if it wasn't for them in a situation where he can't get through to her fast enough before the bomb goes off, and, like, this whole bad situation, other than that, it would have been possible for them to go forward in a healthy-ish relationship together.
Yeah.
Honestly, probably a much more healthy relationship than you would have had with Karen. But, like, yeah, I'm curious where we're going to go with that now. If Matt is just going to try and rebound back to Karen, and if she would even allow that, and I sure hope not, but that's a possibility that I hope we don't get. Otherwise, Matt is a very, very relationship-centered focus. Like, he is the, I feel like his story is always going to be revolving around him wanting to date somebody. So,
yeah,
I'm not sure what we're going to get next, but I don't know what we could get next without it just being Karen again, or they introduce a whole nother character.
Because, like, in my mind, they have left him on a real blank slate now. Like, Matt Murdock has disappeared. Daredevil is, dead. Like, he can do whatever he wants now. Like, he could just say, yeah, I'm going back to normal when he wakes up. Or he could just be like, I'm going to be Daredevil full time now that everyone thinks I'm dead. He could, just give up being Daredevil. Like, to me, this feels like the big blank slate.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And the fact that he is in a place with, like, I don't know what the name for that would be, but, they got sisters there. They've got, like, it's some sort of church, it seems like, or missionary or something.
Yeah.
So, we're definitely going to get a lot more religious stuff in the next one, which I'm totally up for.
He could just become a monk.
Could just become a monk? Oh, that would be an interesting parallel.
Yeah. I honestly... I could see them doing something with that, like with him just kind of, laying low, just leaning more into religion, sort of like, doing the if Danny's going to try and get back to Kunlun, I could see like a Matt paralleling him with a like, I'm going to go back to my religion. I'm going to like sequester myself away and go to my own sanctuary for a while.
Mm-hmm. And we could have a whole new slew of characters in that.
Mm-hmm.
And then like we could have like some internal conflict, and then the last half of the season is Kingpin again, so he has to like come back to the main city.
Yeah, I think it'd be very cool to do a like, in the same way that season 2 was the big power vacuum from the Kingpin being gone. I could see season 3 having some level of like the power vacuum that has been created now that Daredevil is no longer in Hell's Kitchen.
Yeah, because Daredevil is like New York's hero. Like, the Avengers don't go out and do shit on the ground level. So, for all intents and purposes, like, even though they live in New York, they're not like New York's heroes or anything like that.
No.
But like, Daredevil is the hero of New York. Luke Cage is the hero of Harlem. Barely. Barely.
He's around in Harlem.
Yeah, he is a guy around in Harlem who might, if you catch him on a good day, help you.
Mm-hmm.
If it's bad enough, if it's gonna bother all of New York, then he's Harlem's hero. If it's just Harlem's problem, you might not be able to count on him.
That's what I like to hear from the hero of Harlem.
But regardless, Matt is Hell's Kitchen and New York's hero. Nobody knows about Danny. Like, he doesn't really do a lot of stuff in public, so nobody really knows that Danny Rand is a hero in any way. And Jessica as well. They're just like, yeah, she's an investigator, but like, that's not a hero. So the fact that we have like our one hero of New York City who's dead, who a lot of people hate, a lot of people love, like, he's got that Spider-Man thing going on, a lot of bad press, a lot of good press.
Yeah.
So it's going to be real interesting to see what the fallout of people's reaction to him is as well.
For sure.
Especially because it's also interesting because like it seems like most people, he's been doing this for a while as Daredevil, but still the vast majority of people just call him the Devil of Hell's Kitchen.
Mm-hmm.
So like, that's interesting of its own way, where it's like, even with the good press that he is getting, people don't respect him enough to use the name that he has been trying to throw out there.
Yeah.
I think like only the Hand has been the ones who, like, only Gal has called him Daredevil, right? Or sorry, only Murakami has called him Daredevil.
Mm-hmm.
I believe.
As far as I recall, I think that's correct.
Like, yeah, I don't even think in Daredevil Season 2 we had anybody call him Daredevil.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that is fascinating to me as well.
Yeah.
I did love the names that we got from Gao. Was it this episode? I'm starting to think it wasn't this episode. But, the Devil of Hell's Kitchen, the Man with Unbreakable Skin, and the Unyielding Woman.
It was this episode, yeah.
Yeah. That was, like, such a good line. Like, because we've heard the other two before, but getting Jessica in that lineup now as well is amazing. Because, like, yeah, the Iron Fist is the one where it's like, everybody calls him the Iron Fist, because anybody he's facing knows he is the Iron Fist. Like, even Harold started to call him the Iron Fist.
Yeah.
So, like, it's understandable. I mean, even Colleen had that line a couple episodes back, where Claire was just like, well, he is the Iron Fist, and Colleen's like, yeah, he'll say that to literally anybody who asks. Like, I hear that 20 times a day.
Yeah. I mean, you gotta do it, otherwise people will just blow it off.
I mean, Matt would probably be jizzing in his pants if he had a line that he could just give to everybody when they asked, why do you do this? And he could just say, oh, I'm the Iron Fist, I have to. Because, like, Matt has that same vibe, like, I have to do this because, of my religion. Like, I am this, like, defender of the good in the world and everything like that, and like the defender of these ideals and all that. And if he had a specific like role that was passed down to him that he could just spout out, like, he would lose it. He would love that. Danny's got it lucky with being able to be like, yeah, I am the Iron Fist. That's why I do everything. You don't have to question anything. I can answer almost any question of why I'm doing something with, I'm the Iron Fist. And you're just going to shut up and go, okay, fair enough.
Stick really should have given Matt, like a little speech he can say constantly. 'Cause that's also part of it. Like, Danny can just say his speech and it's self-affirming and it's clear, like, yeah, I gotta do this.
Hmm. Yeah, that's a good point. He's got a lot of the self-affirmations.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah, as you said, I'm glad that Colleen and Danny seem to be on really good terms here at the end now.
Mm-hmm.
Like, their relationship is rocky at times, but it seems like it is stronger than ever. It seems like out of everybody, Danny is the one who's going to be really going forward in a very positive light.
Yeah.
And, like, he's also struggled with he has the power to help New York in big, big ways. But, like, it seems like it's took him until now to be like, okay, yeah, I gotta start doing that. Like, I can't just focus on me, I gotta focus on everybody else, too. Matt asked me to protect the city, I gotta protect the city.
Yeah. Like, it makes sense, considering that, Iron Fist was all him just trying to figure out what the heck is going on, trying to get his bearings in the world, and then between Iron Fist and Defenders was him just going after the Hand, because, that was the pressing concern.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is the first time in, his existence since he has gotten back to New York where he can, like, seriously sit down and think about what to do. Beyond just, like, this is what I need to do next for, for me or for my legacy or, because this exact matter's coming up. Now he can take a broad view and go, like, well, how do I help the city?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm glad that, he has the time now to think about it. A lot of stuff happens so fast in this shit that, they don't have time to do X, Y, or Z.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, what else to say about it? Again, I really, really do love the Matt and Elektra relationship. I think it's, one of the strongest relationships we have in all of the MCU. I dig it. I fucking love it. There's, it gets dragged out a little bit, I'll say. Like, it's clear where we're going with it from the get-go, and then even once she gets resurrected, it's like, okay, well, now I can see where this is going. Like, it's always extremely obvious where it's going, but even still, it's so good of a tale to be told. It's as old as time, but it's a great one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic.
Seriously.
I'm glad that Foggy is picking up on the lawyering stuff. Like, he's, again, we're just seeing he's doing a really good job with it. He's being, I don't know, successful career. It's going good.
Mm-hmm.
He's good and he's making money.
Yeah, and he's still trying to look out for people. He's still trying to ultimately do the right thing. Like, he hasn't been corrupted by, being a lawyer.
Yeah, like, that's what I mean. Like, he's good in terms of, like, good-natured, and he's also making money. He's got that nice middle ground, He's doing a great job.
Yeah. Happy to see it.
Mm-hmm. It seems like his relationship's going well. His friendship with Karen is going strong. Like, he's just got a good life right now, and I'm glad that he wasn't, like, drug into, like, a bunch of bad shit.
Yeah. And I think that not having Matt around has really helped Mixell. Like, we knew that from, like, Daredevil Season 2. But that's just been continuous, and I'm really excited to see, like, what he's going to be doing, in this time without Matt, like, going forward.
Yeah. Yeah. As well as, like, Karen, I'm going to be very interested to see, like, how her job's going to go now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she's been very independent as well. Alias Investigation's back open. Danny, a person who is a billionaire, no longer looking like he's homeless.
Mm-hmm.
The final shot with Danny has it, like, he looks really good. I mean, he's looked pretty good throughout a lot of Defenders, but even then still, again, he looks like he's not homeless anymore.
Yeah. He's put himself together.
He feels like New York is finally his home, and so he finally looks like he's not homeless.
Also, talking a little bit about the potential Daredevil power vacuum, and also just, like, the structure of how we're going to see these characters. Like, next is Punisher, and then we have a season of everything else, like, all the other characters before we get to Daredevil season 3. Yeah.
Yeah.
So like there's a long period of time where like I think we'll still be seeing some of these people and whatnot, but like I do think that means that we could have like, a year or two even with no Matt.
Yeah, it could be a big skip. I'm not sure about a year or two, but maybe a year at most.
Yeah.
Really depends, because like they go pretty like real time when the shows come out, relatively, right?
Yeah. And so, yeah, like that would be, yeah, like a season. Like each one would be about a season. So yeah, like a year and 3 months.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's curious like how much like. I'm glad we're doing it that way. Again, like I'm glad that for the world, for the other characters, Daredevil is dead, Matt Murdock is dead, and we have to live with that for a while.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm very happy that we're committing to that in such a hard way there.
Mm-hmm.
Like they could have easily done like, okay, do Daredevil season 3 again because that's their most popular one, but like they held off on it.
Yeah, they're giving everything more breathing room and letting, the series that haven't been pushed quite as hard finally, get some space.
Yeah. Also, you know what I just realized?
What?
Our Defenders first meet in an elevator and then first disband in an elevator.
Ah.
It's a very nice, like, bookending there.
Yeah. That's really cool.
Love that. Anything else to say about this episode in particular? I think we covered everything in this episode. Like, overall, how did you feel about the Defenders as a whole season? Like, as this thing where they're teaming up and everything. Like, I really, really dug it just having all these characters in one show where they're all, like, it's a lot of what I expect for a... again, my classic quote, as someone who has not seen a lot of like superhero stuff in general, the thing I know about live action superhero stuff, especially TV shows, is the classic, if you do a TV show that is a team, you can expect 99% of that thing to not be them as a team.
And
like, it's a lot of it is just them arguing or them trying to figure out how they're going to work together with their personalities and doing it in a quote-unquote realistic way like that. But even still, with as many of those problems as this had, I still absolutely dug it. Seeing all these characters on screen, like, it has that exact same vibe as, like, the Avengers movies and everything like that, but even stronger, simply because I have seen far more of each of these characters, and each of their deals is, like, consistent. Like, wherever we left them is where we're picking up on them in this season, and then their character arc happens in this season, and assumingly it'll be carried over into their own individual season. Versus, like, you don't really get that in the movies. It's usually like the character goes through maybe an arc in the movie, but most of the time it's like, this is the way the character is in the movie. They're going to go through a character arc in between these two movies, and then the next movie they're going to be a completely different person. Like, most of the movies, most of the Avengers movies especially, have a lot of the characterization happen off screen in between movies. And so you don't get, whenever you go into a movie, you're not having that same vibe of like, oh, okay, I remember where this character was, and now we're going into this thing, and I can't wait to see how that past stuff like affects them in this thing. Which is, I feel like we just don't get that in the MCU movies at all, really. Like, very, very little of it, at least. And so every time you're going to an MCU movie going like, ooh, I can't wait to see what they're going to do with this character this time.
Yeah. Like, it's the kind of thing I'm really hoping to get more from the Disney Plus series now that they're coming out.
Yeah. Seriously, but even then, it's like, there's, like, the first couple ones of them are characters we know, but the vast majority of them are just introducing completely new characters and stuff like that. So it really depends on, is that going to then go into a movie and stay consistent?
Yeah, because it's also equally possible that we'll have the same problem, but now it is here's an entire TV show's worth of stuff about the character, and then they are completely different when they finally get into a movie.
Yeah. Like, I don't want to get into it too much right now, but, like, I do think, you know, WandaVision could be its own little pocket thing that they don't have to talk about. Loki could be its own little pocket thing they don't have to talk about. But Falcon and the Winter Soldier, I feel like, has to be, you know, immediately following the events of Endgame, and then whatever happens in that TV show has to carry on with these characters going forward. I can't see a way they're going to do it otherwise. So...
Yeah.
And I hope that's the case also for WandaVision and Loki, but I can see how that could possibly be a like pocket thing by itself.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, I mean, so I'm looking forward to that, and I hope that the Disney Plus shows have a lot more of what these Netflix shows have, where it's like, I can't believe that this feels more like an Avengers than the Avengers does. But I mean, I love the first Avengers movie. God damn, do I love the first Avengers movie so fucking much. But it does have that feeling of like, okay, I know the concept of all these characters, but they are vastly different in this movie. Like, Tony Stark is pretty consistent throughout the Iron Mans and then into Avengers, but even then, not completely consistent. And like, plenty of the other characters are fully changed in various ways. So,
yeah.
Thor's pretty consistent, but yeah, Banner, we have, like, you know, Romanoff and Hawkeye were barely introduced in the slightest bits. Like, yeah, there's just not a whole lot of consistency. It's some, but it's not great.
Yeah, they get a lot of their edges sanded off in order to all fit into one package with a voice that, you know, sounds very similar between all of them.
Yeah.
Whereas in the Defenders, I mean, for better or for worse, like, we have the exact same complaints about Luke as a person in the Defenders that we had in Luke Cage. Like, he is the same guy.
And like, yeah, I was very worried they were going to tone down Danny a lot, but like, no, we're keeping the power levels like leveled to where they should be. Like, the characters are allowed to be super strong or super, you know, weak comparatively. Rather than, again, like, a problem I have with a lot of the MCU movies, or just a lot of problems I have with a lot of stuff like anime or whatever, where it's like you're trying to like raise everybody's power level up to a certain degree so that way they can all fight in something, and it's like, you don't really need this. It's better to have some of the lower level people, some of the higher level people, but not to act like they're on the same level.
Otherwise, you get a dude with a gun using his normal ass gun to kill giant alien monsters.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, why can't everyone do this? Why is it just this guy? Oh, it's because he's been leveled up to the same level as everyone else.
Yeah, the movies don't have a lot of that feeling of like, why are you here? Like, the Netflix series really want to answer that question every single episode. Like, every episode they want to have the, why are you here? Why are we doing this? But the MCU movies are more just like the, well, I'm here because I'm here, and I'm an Avenger, and what do? I have a gun. It's wild.
Seriously.
Like, yeah, if this was a movie, Claire and Colleen and Misty would all also be Avengers as well. Whereas, like, in this, it's very clear, it's like, you guys are tagging along. And to be fair, Colleen, an extreme powerhouse, but still, it can't be counted as one of the Defenders, because it's just, like, it's just a completely separate thing.
Yeah. Like, she is the quiet fifth member. Or, like, you know, she is a package with Danny. She's really, really strong, but she's not, like, in that same group. But they never downplay her as being strong or being important.
Yeah. And, like, again, I like the intermixing we have of, like, the, you know, quote-unquote sidekicks. But, like, Colleen is, like, very tied into Danny. Claire is very tied into Luke, but also tied into Danny. First appeared with Matt, you know, barely a thing at all with Jessica. Like, she's had connections with all of them, but she is primarily a Luke person. But, again, has a big connection with Danny as well there. Misty as well, having the, like, mainly a Luke Cage character, but talks to all of them, like, equally. Like, a lot of times with that, she would constantly go to Luke to get the primary information. I feel like most shows would have her just do that, whereas like this is like, no, she's also going to have a talk with Matt, she's also going to have a talk with Jessica, she's also going to have a talk with Danny, and like all of them in which she is talking to them as if they are as important to her as like Luke is, like in terms of like a suspect or a interesting party or whatever, you know.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's very important for her as well. And yeah, I just like that mixing of like who's important to who. Other than Colleen just being straight up, she is just here with Danny. If Danny's around, Colleen's gonna be around. Yeah. It's sad to see Stick go as well. You know, we already talked about that earlier in the season, but man, it's still hard to imagine that we're gonna be moving forward with no Stick. Sad. Yeah. I really loved him. Yeah, I'm glad he got to shine so much and have the end of his character in this, like with everybody here.
Yeah, it was a good end.
Like, yeah, at least even if he dies, he hopefully knows now there are people that are essentially taking up his mantle. And, you know, he dies not knowing if the war is over or not. And, like, after thousands of years, it finally is, assumingly, over. And, like, yeah, that's always the tragic thing to me, of, like, he dies and he does not know if it ended or not. And there's no way that Stick is up in heaven just watching this go down.
We don't know. He might have gone to Kunlun.
There's no way in hell Stick goes to heaven.
He went to Kunlun.
No. I mean, I'm pretty sure he said explicitly, like, hey, kid, I hope that you go to Kunlun, because I know I'm not.
Yeah, you're right.
But yeah, he is that, like, Stick is, like, the empathetic devil. Like, he does. So, I mean, he was planning to kill Danny. Like, he is not a good person in any stretch of the imagination whatsoever. He is undeniably a bad person. He is the true definition of, like, an anti-hero. Like, what he is doing is good for the world, and is probably the best thing you could do, like the most efficient thing you could do, that would definitely ensure that they couldn't have gotten the substance and blah 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 blah. But like at the end of the day, what he does is reprehensible.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, I think it's amazing that they have maybe gone from like in Daredevil, where I was just like, yeah, I've seen this archetype of a character so many times, I'm not interested. And now I'm like, no, I love Stick, he's amazing, I love him so much. I mean, the Netflix stuff is really good. I mean, again, I hated Misty so much for 2 whole seasons, and then I'm finally like, okay, fine, Misty's okay, she good. So, yeah, I any character that appears in this, even if I hate them, but in due time, I think the Netflix show is going to make me really love them.
Yeah, I think we're in good hands.
Like, yeah, as much as there is faults with this, I am still in absolute love with the Netflix MCU.
Same.
Anything else you want to talk about the overall season?
No, I think we discussed it to death. I think we're good.
Okay, I think we can talk about what I think is going to happen next.
Yeah, sounds good to me.
So, do you want to do our classic?
Oh, it's been so long. We can finally do it.
It's weird that it's been so long, because we do it after every show, but well, let's get to what we're talking about.
Of course. So, after each series, after every show, after every movie as well, I hit you with the big, what do you think's going to happen next?
And now we got a lot of what do I think's going to happen next in the next Jessica Jones, what do I think's going to happen next in the next Iron Fist, and the next Defender, or the next Daredevil.
No Defenders.
Yeah, no more Defenders. Sadly, I mean, I would be totally down for a whole nother season, but...
yeah.
Not. So... But yeah, so Defenders is, or sorry, god damn it, Punisher is next up on the dock, right? Like, that is the very next thing. So, hold on one second.
what do you think is going to happen in Punisher Season 1?
Like, again, I think it's going to be the following up, obviously, on the plot with the Colonel, I think was his rank.
Yeah.
And whatever was going on in the war there, like, we knew a little bit of the information there, and I definitely got to rewatch that little bit at the end of Daredevil Season 2 to get reminded on what was the little bits of information that we know so far. But we're obviously going to follow back up on the Colonel, and even though he's dead, like, I think there's going to be one guy who's going to be the main boss of the, like, people who are working on, like, the army guys. I think there's going to be one who's, like, the main bad guy, and then the rest is just him slowly working his way through them, like, through the officers, essentially, to get to the main guy. It's going to be a pretty classic, I think. Like, I believe they had something to do with drug smuggling as well, which feels like a very Punisher thing to do.
Yeah. There's some drug stuff, there was some weapon stuff, like the guy was called the Blacksmith.
Right, yeah. I think it's just going to be one of the army guys is going to be the main boss of the season. That's really my main guess. And I don't think it's going to split them. I don't think there's going to be too much of a, like, first half of the season, second half of the season sort of thing. I think it's going to be pretty much entirely devoted to him just slowly taking out those guys. That's my main guess. It's going to be by the books.
Do you think that there's going to be any fallout from the Defenders in Punisher? Or do you think Punisher's going to basically be, like, standalone?
Yeah, I think Punisher's basically going to be standalone. Like, obviously it's going to have to take place afterwards, but I think it's just going to be a, like, and now we don't have to worry about, like, are these people tied up at the hand? Is this blah, 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 blah? Like, we don't have to worry about that aspect of it. But I don't think we're going to get much talk of it.
Okay. Makes sense to me, yeah.
Yeah. I feel like it's going to be... It could take place arbitrarily wherever. You know, after Daredevil Season 2 is going to be the only real time frame the series gives, is my impression.
Okay. Yeah, makes sense to me.
So, Jessica Jones, Season 2. Do you remember what the corporation was called that we were dealing with at the very end? Or that she got, like, the stuff back from, like, that they ran tests on her and stuff? I don't remember what they were called.
I don't remember off the top of my head. It was like GHB or something.
Sure, yeah, some random acronym or whatever. But yeah, I feel like we're going to be touching on that mostly, and it's going to be not a very... how do I put this? Like, it's going to be a not very supervillain season. It's going to be very, very toned down, very, very investigative, very, very detective. But yeah, I don't think there's going to be a lot of action, even less so than there was in the first season. Less of a horror vibe, and more of just a straight-up detective season.
Okay, makes sense.
Yeah, Season 3 I'm more excited for, but Season 2 I feel like is going to be a bit of a I don't know, just a lull. A bit of a, like, yeah, we don't have a good... Like, we did Kilgrave, we can't one-up that, so what do we do next? Let's just do some just hardcore investigative stuff, and I hope they make it very interesting. But, like, that's my guess. And then Season 3, they might go back to, like, okay, now we're going to try our hand as a supervillain again. See how that goes. Again, I don't think there's any way they're going to top Kilgrave, and I think they have to know that there's no way they're going to be able to top Kilgrave. So, it's just all about what can we do after that?
Yeah.
Versus Luke Cage Season 2. A lot of follow back up on Mariah, and a lot of follow back up on Shades. Yeah. Maybe Diamondback could get out of prison. That's a possibility. It seems like we were setting up something there. But I don't want Luke Cage Season 2 to just be full rehash of Season 1.
Yeah.
So, I'm hoping for mostly Maria, mostly Shades, also a lot of, like, one-off kind of stuff, or at least, like, even if it's not one-off, just a lot of, like, helping people around Harlem, you know, getting accustomed to that now and not just, like, shrugging it off. Yeah, it's probably going to be a lot of working with Misty.
Because, yeah, like, Luke as a person hasn't changed that much as a result of the Defenders. But, like his supporting cast has changed a little bit.
Yeah. So, like, hopefully the supporting cast can really push him into doing shit, and he can do shit.
Fingers crossed.
I don't want a whole other season of, no, I'm not going to go do anything. No, I'm not going to go do anything. No, okay, fine.
You know, entire season of refusing the call to action.
Iron Fist Season 2 is going to be wackadoo, just absolute weirdness and bad decision making. That's my guess.
Like, it is interesting that, Daredevil Season 3 is the furthest away from Defenders. Iron Fist is, second furthest away. Like, there's also a big span of time between now and whatever Danny's going to be doing when we get to him in Iron Fist Season 2.
Yeah, I hope that they completely change their minds on what they want to do. Because right now, it seems like it's going to be a lot of Danny finding out what happened to Kunlun and just trying to, figure out what went on there and reconciling his relationship with him as well as him trying to deal with shit in New York and protect New York City and maybe use his influence and his riches in a way that can help New York City. And then also we have Davos and Joy working together to kill Danny, working separately by themselves outside of Kunlun. Who knows how that's all going to work together in one season? It seems like a mess. It seems like it's going to be a rough season, but I hope that they change their minds on what they want to do.
Oh, yeah, when you lay it out like that, it's pretty terrifying.
And that's a lot, and that's just the immediate stuff on top of my head. Like, we have plenty of other shit, too. It's like, we gotta do something with Ward.
Yeah.
Like, what's Ward going to be like with no Joy, with no father, like, with just Danny? How's that going to play out? Like, Danny's going to have to be keeping track of, like, fucking 10 different interpersonal relationships, as well as his relationship with an entire city and an entire other city. Like, this season could be really good, it could also be really bad, but if they do it that way, it's going to be the big Spider-Man of, like, 5 billion things going on at once, and I hope they can handle that well.
Yeah, because there's a lot in Iron Fist Season 1 I really like, but at the same time, there's a lot that was kind of shaky, and Iron Fist Season 2 is the one I'm maybe the most worried about.
But yeah, I hope that it could be great, could be terrible. I don't think it's going to be middling.
Okay.
Versus like Jessica Jones Season 2, I don't think it's going to be great. I don't think it's going to be terrible. I think it's just going to be middling. But yeah, so Daredevil Season 3. We talked a lot about that already, but again, I think that's going to be primarily him laying low for a while, helping out the church and stuff like that. Something big is going to happen at the end of episode 1 that has to draw him away, but not exactly towards the city, still staying on the low. And then eventually, second half of the season, Kingpin comes back. We gotta spank him again.
Okay.
That's my big guesses. And then we have Punisher Season 2, Jessica Jones Season 3. Should I wait to guess on those, or should I give my big theories already?
If you have anything,
I guess I don't. Like I said, Jessica Jones Season 3, gonna do a big superhero thing again. Punisher Season 2, I think as well. We're not gonna do a big supervillain sort of thing, but somebody who is trying to kill Punisher. Like somebody who is hunting Punisher, is my guess.
Okay.
Those are my two broad guesses for those seasons.
Yeah, for those, I'll definitely ask you again once you're done, like, the seasons related to those. You might have a, stronger guess.
Yeah. Like, yeah, once we get closer, I like getting the more specific guess. Like, it's also easier for me once I've seen, like, I've seen 2 seasons of Daredevil, so my Daredevil Season 3 prediction was way more specific than a lot of the other ones, where it's like... Yeah, when I have something very specific, I like going for it. But then a lot of other times, it's like, I couldn't even give a specific guess for Jessica Jones Season 2, even if I wanted to. Versus, like, Daredevil, I can see it so clearly in my head, Season 3, first episode, him laying low. It's going to be a lot of him at the church with the missionaries and him, like, healing up and him just helping them out around the church and being nice and completely different life and everything's kosher. And then at the end of the episode, something really bad happens and drags him out of it. Absolutely see that. So let's see what it's going to be for that.
Oh. Yeah, I really like that.
So... that's all we got for this one. I will see you guys for Punisher Season 1. Until then, get the fuck out of here.